We begin by seeing an Irish farmer doing his daily chores. A few days ago, he discovered a layer of clay and dug it up to get more kilos of the material to sell, as it is a compound from the earth used for crafting, among other things. He is in the vicinity of a pleasant plain in Ireland. However, where he works, his fate will change as he finds something in the excavation below. The man comes across an ancient coffin and manages to open part of it, inside finding what does not seem to be an ordinary human, having large nails and its hands tied. The farmer is astonished by this discovery. Night approaches, so he goes to his tractor to grab a flashlight. Suddenly, the earth over the coffin begins to move. Minutes later, upon returning, the man notices that the soil has been disturbed and that what was buried beneath is gone. The old man is bewildered until suddenly something surprises him. The creature emerging from the ground attacks and drags him into a puddle of water. The man manages to escape with his life, exhausted on the ground, but we see that he has been injured and bitten on the neck. The scene goes back to earlier that morning, introducing us to the couple Sarah and Mark. They are taking a trip through the countryside, intending to have fun that day and likely make a marriage proposal, a topic that is of little relevance to Mark, who thinks that getting married is more like an agreement of slavery than freedom. He even jokes about it. But Sarah gently confronts him, saying that getting married shows how much one person loves the other and is willing to live with them for a lifetime. The two continue their journey through the beautiful landscapes of the area, seeing green fields, small forests, and the presence of civilization. They follow the GPS but lose signal for a while until the device states they've taken a wrong turn. Sarah tries to warn her partner, but Mark insists that he knows where he's going and is familiar with the path. Further ahead, they encounter a fork in the road, and Mark turns right. The road becomes rough, now a wet dirt path. Mark begins to question his certainties. Soon, the vehicle passes through a puddle of mud and has trouble getting through. Mark attempts to accelerate to break free from the mud, but is unsuccessful. To get the car unstuck, he needs to exit the vehicle and asks Sarah to take the wheel. Mark pushes the car, but quickly realizes that he won't succeed. The couple tries to get a signal on their phones to call for a tow, but the area is remote. Night falls, and wanting to improve the situation, Mark says he will try to find a house to ask for help and tells Sarah to stay in the car. He walks off towards a fenced area, believing he will soon find a house. Mark walks a bit further, and all he finds is a vast area of open plain with no signs of civilization. Fortunately, looking to the other side, he sees lights from a house 500 meters ahead. Meanwhile, Sarah waits inside the car for her partner when suddenly something walks around the vehicle. She doesn't notice this, and seconds later steps out to grab her cigarettes from the trunk. She waits outside for her partner to return. Back with Mark, he arrives at the house and notices the lights are off. He examines the surroundings of the residence to see if he can find anyone. He enters the fenced area, and suddenly the lights turn on. Believing there are residents in the house, he goes to the door and knocks, but no one answers. Mark goes around to the back of the house, and again the light turns on, as if someone is turning them on for him. Mark is then startled to find the door open. He enters calling for help, but finds no one inside. Fearful as he steps into the strange residence, he cautiously checks the rooms. When he returns to the back door, he encounters a man standing with his back turned. Mark apologizes for the intrusion, but states he needs help with his car stuck in the mud. Suddenly, the man murmurs, weakens, and reveals himself to be ill. At this moment, it is revealed that he is the old man from the beginning, who managed to return home. Mark tries to help the farmer with his neck wounds. Back at the vehicle, Sarah anxiously awaits her partner's return. But minutes later, she feels the odd silence around her, and fearful, decides to turn on the headlights. While standing in front of the light, she is startled by Mark, who returns and says he found a house a kilometer away. Mark talks about the old man and states that they need to return to help him. The two then hurry back and soon arrive together at the house. This time, the indoor lights are off, which intrigues Mark, but he enters with Sarah. Upon entering the house, Mark tries to turn on the lights, but realizes that the bulbs are missing. The two search for the old man, but find the house ransacked, with broken utensils scattered around. Sarah becomes confused and freezes when she hears something behind her. When she turns around, there is no one there. Suddenly, the old man appears, passing by them and running up the stairs. The couple then follows him, even while Sarah begs her partner not to go. Mark insists the old man needs help as he was bleeding from the neck. They head to the upper room but do not find him there. When Mark switches on the lamp, he sees the old man standing at the door behind Sarah, but he quickly vanishes. He tries to follow the man, but surprisingly, the old man becomes agile and disappears rapidly. They then search for the old man in another room, and when Mark crouches to check beneath the bed, the man leaps out from inside the wardrobe and attacks him. The old man appears disturbed and growls like a beast, his eyes dark. He then stands up when confronted with Sarah's flashlight beam, and disliking the light, jumps out the window. After the attack, the two go to check the state of the old man, but upon leaving, they realize that the man has vanished. Scared by the situation, they decide to return to the vehicle. However, due to their earlier experiences, Mark is confused and takes the wrong path. The couple argues because Mark doesn't know the way back for certain, and not realizing it, they are at the location of the initial attack, where the creature attacked the old man. While they argue, the creature from under the water drags Mark into the puddle, leaving Sarah terrified. Fortunately, Mark soon manages to resurface and runs away with Sarah. Using the landscape's deformations and tall vegetation, the couple hides from the creature that is hunting for its prey. Not finding them, the creature moves away, allowing the two to return to the house. They pass by the farm's barn and do not see the enemy nearby. As they head towards the house, the creature on the roof destroys the light fixture, and the shattered glass injures Sarah's shoulder. The two quickly enter and lock the door, but Mark loses the flashlight. The creature opens the door, and before Mark can escape, he is thrown against the wall. Sarah grabs her cell phone flashlight and uses it as a weapon to scare the creature away, then heads upstairs to grab the lamp. When she peeks through the stairway crack, she is suddenly attacked and nearly thrown down. Fortunately, she escapes and is secure with the light. Sarah shouts for Mark to use the cell phone light, but before he can activate it, the creature attacks him again. Sarah rushes down to help and uses the device's light to ward off the beast. Mark is injured, but is rescued and taken to shelter in the bathroom. Panic envelops them, and intense pain consumes Mark as his wounds make him moan in agony. Sarah bandages his injuries and comforts her partner, asking him to endure the pain and remain silent while the creature moves away. Next, Sarah washes her face, and looking through the window, she notices the creature circling the house. Fearing the imminent danger, she helps Mark stand and go to the upper room, where it is safer. There, they hold the lamp as a weapon, but soon realize the creature is above the house. At this moment, they recognize that they are not safe anywhere there. The couple starts to smell something strange. They soon discover it is smoke coming from the lower floor. In a panic, Sarah descends to check and finds only smoke, no fire, something deliberately intended to scare them into leaving the house. Sarah devises a plan. She grabs the cell phone light, uses a cloth on her face, and descends to the kitchen to stop the smoke. However, she is unsuccessful, and not seeing clearly and suffocating, she finally gives in and steps outside. Sarah falls to the ground and gasps for breath before returning to find Mark. However, she no longer hears Mark, and she struggles to see around her. Unbeknownst to her, the creature is very close, as if it is sniffing her out. Startled by the tension of the moment, she runs and hides. The creature then begins to search for her when Sarah surprises it and injures its foot, taking refuge again in the bathroom. She stays there for a few seconds until the beast bursts into the room. Sarah hides within the cabinet above the sink, where a small spider annoys her. Fortunately, the insect does not harm her, and moments later, the creature leaves the room. Sarah then exits the bathroom and heads upstairs before the beast can reach her. The creature does not follow, knowing there is a light source that would hurt it. Upon finding Mark unconscious, Sarah wakes him and says they need to find a way out. Aware of the creature's weakness, Mark says they just have to wait for dawn and use sunlight as their ultimate weapon against the beast. However, upon seeing the creature outside the house, Sarah disagrees, fearing they will be attacked again. She then presents a plan and asks Mark for help. For a moment, the lamp goes out and the creature climbs up to attack the couple. Fortunately, Sarah quickly turns the device back on and blinds the beast's eye, which, burning, retreats from them. Sarah, looking towards the neighboring farm, sees a tractor nearby and alerts her partner about a means of escape. Mark, despite being in a lot of pain, helps Sarah outside, wielding the lamp as a weapon. Sarah cautiously approaches the vehicle, but when she jumps over the fence, Mark falters and falls, leaving his partner in darkness. Seconds later, Sarah discovers the creature is just a few steps behind her. Fearing the attack, she runs and quickly enters the tractor. Unfortunately, the keys are not inside. Suddenly, the creature, who is the transformed man, arrives and attacks her, injuring her as well. Sarah fights back and grabs the creature man's keys and injures him before knocking him down. She starts the agricultural vehicle and uses the strong flashlight against the old man. The brightness causes the creature to freeze and turn into a stone statue. Without wasting time, Sarah accelerates and destroys the body of the beast. After her victory, she heads back to the house to find Mark. She helps him up and heads downstairs. Suddenly, upon meeting the light, he pushes Sarah aside and runs to the side of the vehicle and destroys the headlights. Alarmed, Sarah goes back upstairs. Thus, when Mark, now different and transforming into a creature, approaches her, Sarah uses the flame from a lighter to ward off her partner, who ends up falling down the stairs. In a panic, Sarah is at a loss for what to do and worries about her partner's condition. Then she enters the bedroom and searches for something useful. Fortunately, she finds a few candles and quickly lights them to illuminate her surroundings. Not wanting to believe that Mark is against her, Sarah calls for him. However, there is no response from him. Sarah slowly descends the stairs, and upon passing by Mark's fallen body, discovers that her partner intended to propose to her, even after the jokes and his previous words against marriage. She picks up the ring box and is moved to learn what was planned for her. Sarah drags Mark outside but encounters the other existing creature, forcing her to lock herself in the house again. She takes Mark inside the bathroom and ties him up in case he wakes up furious and transforming. While she reflects, holding the rings, Mark wakes up in transformation and tries to attack her. Sarah blocks him and drives him away with the candlelight. In fury, Mark crashes into the sink and breaks his teeth. Terrified, Sarah grabs some flammable spray and uses it to keep her partner at bay while she exits and locks him in. With no more light for protection, Sarah leaves the TV on. When she realizes she will soon come face to face with her oppressor, she lights a piece of paper on fire and uses it as a shield to exit the house. Desperate and panicked, Sarah goes to the shed and only has a box of matches. However, that won't last long. Suddenly, her arm is caught between the wooden slats and her finger is bitten. She lights a match and temporarily frees herself from her creature husband. But the man, now a transformed beast, enters the shed and waits for the moment to attack Sarah. Luckily, she finds a light on the ceiling and quickly searches for the switch to turn on the lamp, even knowing this would destroy her husband. With no other choice, she flips the switch, and when she does, Mark turns into a statue. In tears, Sarah watches her dead partner and is devastated. Then she gathers her courage and approaches the statue and completely dismantles it. At this moment, she notices the wound on her hand and discovers that when injured by an infected being, the victim will also become a beast. Believing she can reverse her horrific fate, Sarah grabs a tool to cut her finger off. Bravely, she does so and stifles her scream of pain to avoid attracting the other monstrosity. A few minutes later, she hears noises outside and knows it is the creature. Then she cleverly devises a plan, seeing the light on the ceiling and her severed finger in the bowl of blood. She creates a trail of blood and then makes noise and turns off the light. The moment of darkness attracts the beast, and when the monster emerges trying to grab Sarah, she manages to escape the shed before the worst happens. Back in the house, Sarah has just 3 matchsticks left. She uses 2 of them to move to the hallway next to the glass window, but she is surprised and nearly has her head reached. Finding an alcohol bottle, a piece of wood and cloth, she makes an improvised torch. Upon lighting it, she fills herself with courage to face the creature. Fearing the fire, the monster recoils and lets Sarah leave. Before leaving the property, Sarah finds a kerosene lantern and swaps her torch for it, knowing the torch wouldn't last long. She then moves away from the area and finds a pile of wooden pieces forming a long fence. She decides to pass between the broken logs, but upon reaching the end, she slips, drops the lantern, and gets her leg stuck. At this moment, Sarah realizes that the creature is approaching. Then she hides. The terrifying beast, which has human-like features but is a vampiric orc, passes over her and does not find her. Minutes later, she retrieves the lantern and follows a small trench. It is the spot where the creature emerged, and there she has her foot pierced by a stake, causing her pain and alerting the creature to her presence. However, it does not approach, fearing Sarah's light. Enduring the pain, she continues across the muddy ground and reaches the old farmer's campsite from before. There she finds fuel cans and has an idea, but she will have to face the creature in the area and the unbearable pain. Sarah pours the flammable liquid around a certain spot and waits for a moment. The creature appears behind her, believing it will have its prey in hand, but to her surprise, Sarah has set a trap. She breaks the lantern and the fire ignites the trap's fuel, causing the creature to begin to burn. In desperation, the monster throws itself into the murky water and extinguishes the flames. Minutes later, we see Sarah trying to free herself from the stake, but the creature emerges from the hole and growls fiercely at her. Then we see the monster leap at her to attack without mercy. Fortunately, Sarah is quick, and she swiftly uses the wooden stake to drive it into the creature's chest, thereby ending the monster. The warrior, exhausted after facing all these challenges, collapses on the ground and loses consciousness. The first rays of sunlight begin to appear on the horizon, and the day finally begins to dawn. Sarah awakens and walks a short distance, happy to be alive and to have survived the attacks of the previous night. Unfortunately, she soon falls, still weak. Then it is revealed that she had forgotten about the wound on her neck, which will cause her to become a creature. So when the sunlight hits her face, her end arrives, along with the curse,